Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining Johnathan and I. My name is Soila. I'm the founding editor of the divorcemagazine.co.uk. You can view all of our videos on the YouTube channel, the Divorce Magazine YouTube channel, or you can go on our website, thedivorcemagazine.co.uk, where you'll find not just the videos, but you'll find so many other articles, all to do with divorce and separation. And so that's me. And I also work very closely with families as a parenting therapist. So working with families, especially families that are going through divorce and they're concerned about their children. So if you have any issues with your kids, just let me know. Get in touch at Soila at thedivorcemagazine.co.uk. And so now I won't tell you any more about that. Well, I haven't said anything about Johnathan except his name. So I'll let him tell us who he is and what it is that he does. Hi, Johnathan.
Hi, thanks, Soila. My name is Johnathan Pease, and I'm with an organization called New Landscape Mediation in just outside of London. We work in Essex and in London and in Cambridge. I'm a FMC accredited mediator, which is the Family Mediation Council, an accredited mediator with them, and I work with families, divorcing families, separating families, to separate their finances, to reach a fair and workable financial settlement, as well as to help them develop solid, workable parenting plans going forward following their separation.
Okay, and so thank you so much for coming on. One of the things we've had a lot of talk about mediation, especially in the last couple of years, and I would like to say, thankfully, it's a divorce process that is being talked about a lot more. But there's still people out there who are a little bit confused about what exactly family mediation is. And maybe can you tell us what exactly it is?
Certainly. First of all, if people are getting a divorce, there are effectively three things that have to happen. One is that you have to dissolve the marital contract. You have to get divorced. And that's a process that you can do either directly through the DirectGov website by making the applications and going through this. But to be honest with you, you're better off using a solicitor to do that bit for you. It's the same way that you can, if you sell your house, you can do your own conveyancing, but I wouldn't recommend it. Just let a solicitor do that bit for you. The other two things that you have to do is you have to decide what's going to happen with your finances, who's going to get what, how are you going to create lasting surety and certainty, financial security for both parties by separating what there is going forward. And the other thing that you have to do is you have to decide what's going to happen with your children. The court want to know that following the divorce, they're not going to come home from school one day and find that you've both moved away and that they're left sitting on the doorstep. So you have to create a plan. You have a number of options to do those two things with. You can let a solicitor do it for you. You can do it around the kitchen table, which very few people can do, or you can use a mediator. What a mediator will do is to take you through the process in much the same way that a solicitor would in terms of the finances, because there are certain legal things that have to happen when separating your finances. But a solicitor will do it for you in a much more streamlined fashion. A mediator will do it for you in a much more streamlined fashion. And what we do is we sit down with couples, we organize their finances, we look at what the situation is right now, what they both need to achieve going forward, and we work out a way of dividing their assets so that they both able to be content with the solution. And we put that together for them in a proper outcome document that can then be presented to the court for ratification in a consent order. And we do the same thing with the children. We sit down together, we work out where the children will live, how they'll travel back and forth between the two parents, what's going to happen at Christmas, what's going to happen during half terms, holidays, all those sorts of things. And we do it in such a way that my goal is always to have parents feel that they're able to dance at their kid's wedding 10 years from now, as opposed to dragging each other through the courts, trying to fight out for, what about this Thursday night? Who's going to get this Thursday night? And so forth. So it's a process that enables you to achieve those very important tasks, keeping your dignity and most of your finances intact.
Yeah.
And that's my job.
I really like that, when you talked about so that parents can dance at their children's weddings. I think that is so important because a lot of the times, even when I'm working with families and when I'm mediating, there's this part that parents forget that it's not just for now. It's not just for when they're 5 years old or 10 years old or 18 years old. It's as long as the kids are alive, basically, you have got a link, and it's really up to you to decide how you want that to turn out.
Yeah, when people are getting divorced, it feels like this process is going to last forever.
Yeah.
And the reality is that if you do it through solicitors and you fight it out in court, it can last 2 or 3 years. With our clients, we will find that we're able to help them reach a full agreement within 5 to 8 weeks of first contact. And they can then take that and have it ratified. And apart from the divorce, the dissolution of the marital contract, which can take a little bit of time just because the courts are backed up right now, they are done with their settlement within a couple of months. But that settlement will last them, has far-reaching implications. Their co-parenting will go on year and year and year and year. And the dust of this process will settle fairly quickly, or it can settle fairly quickly. It's down to how you decide to play it. And that's where I come in.
Johnathan, what is mediation not?
What is it not? Okay. It is not a process where I will sit there and tell you what is right for you or what isn't right for you. It's not a process where I will sit there and make a determination that your ex-partner has, because he's behaved or she's behaved appallingly, that therefore they should be punished. It's not a process where I'm able to give specific legal advice. I can give a great deal of legal information. I can tell you, for example, whether a court is likely to ratify an agreement or not. But I can't sit there and say, right, well, the best thing for you, Soila, is that you get 26.8% of the pension, and this bit of this, I can't do that, because everybody's situations are different. My job is to make sure that you're both content with whatever arrangement you come up with that's available to you within your resources. And some people have a tremendous amount of money, and some people have less resources available to them. We look at what is, and we try and something that's fair and right and lasting for you both.
Okay, and the 2 points that you've made there that I'd like to come back to. First of all, that family mediators can in fact deal with whatever amount of money there is to be, or assets there are to be shared, because some people have thought that high net worth individuals cannot or should not go through mediation. It has to be done through lawyers.
That's not true. I mean, our client base here is the full gambit. You know, we deal with people who really have almost nothing to divide. It's just a matter of it's more about managing the income going forward. And we deal with people who have, literally several £1 million in the bank with properties here and abroad. That doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. As long as whatever we come up with, whether it's who's going to get the toaster or who's going to get the villa in Spain, as long as we come up with an arrangement that I'm able to record accurately, that I can say exactly who gets what and why they're getting it and why that decision has been made, I can then put that together for you in an appropriate document for a court to ratify. It doesn't matter how much stuff is being talked about within the document. Mm-hmm.
And the other point that you brought about that I think is so important and sometimes can be missed for people who are going through family mediation is the fact that when you have, as mediators, we don't give advice. We don't tell them this is, or legal advice. We don't say, this is what, we give them information. But I think what is so crucial, what you said there, was that if you, as a family mediator, if they agree on something and you think this will never be acceptable in court, you can actually tell them about it instead of then just saying, yeah, I'm going to sign this out and you can go off. And then later on they come back and say, well, they didn't accept it.
Yeah, there would be no point in me doing that, because if I did that for you and you're divorced, you'd just be annoyed at me for sending you off with something that would never fly.
Yeah.
The difference between legal information and legal advice is solicitors. If you have a solicitor, your solicitor's job is to tell you what's in your personal best interest. That's not necessarily the same thing as what's in the greater interest of the family. That's just you, Soila, very sort of, egocentric in that way. If we come up with a mediation, an agreement, that probably wouldn't be arrived at with solicitors. So, for example, a couple of years ago, I did one. There was quite a lot of assets, really significant amount of money in this. And the wife was content with effectively giving the husband 80% of everything and keeping 20% of everything. Now, that wouldn't have happened in a legal situation. And what I needed to do was to make sure that the wife, A, completely understood why she was doing that, and that we were able to explain why she was doing that to the courts. And because the wife had very clear reasons, she had money of her own from her parents, she felt that the husband, had earned it, he was taking on all of the educational commitments. There were a number of reasons which actually made this make sense. On paper, it looked dreadful, but for their family and with the greater picture involved, it made perfect sense. And my job is to explain that to the court such that when the judge finally looked at the deal, he didn't just look at 80-20.
80-20, yeah.
He looked at the family in its entirety.
Okay. And what about, there's so much information, and I just want to keep coming back to the points that where I know, people get stuck. And like I mentioned to you earlier on before we started the interview, being in a networking event where we had solicitors and family mediators, people who are in the divorce profession, and still having one solicitor ask the question, but isn't family mediation about bringing the families back together or the couple back together?
No. I mean, if people are still in doubt as to whether the relationship is at an end, they need to be going and speaking to a couples therapist of some description. Family mediators are here for once the decision has already been made. Both parties to the relationship, however unhappy one may be about it, have come to the recognition, the sad recognition, that this is the deal, the relationship is over, and we now have to get on with those three tasks that I mentioned earlier. Dissolve the marital contract, decide what we're going to do with the finances, decide how we're going to co-parent going forward. And those are the only three tasks that lie ahead, at least in the short term. The divorce bit itself, again, you can do it by yourself, but you're best using a solicitor to do that. It's just easier. I can help you with the finances, and I can help you with the children. But again, some people are able to do the children on their own and only need the finances. Some people are able to do the finances on their own and only need help with the children. Just because I can help you with both doesn't mean I'm going to make you let me help you with both. My job in the initial meeting is to sit down and ascertain exactly what your family's needs are so that I can then put together a program of action that's designed to fit your needs to the best of my ability.
Okay. And Johnathan, if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, either to discuss a little bit more about family mediation or, to get you to work with them as a family mediator, how can they find you?
Well, they can look on our website, which is www.newlandscapemediation, all one word, .com. They can call our offices on 01279 211-657. And what we will do in the initial instance is we will arrange an individual appointment for both of you to come in one-on-one for a fully confidential conversation where you can explain to us a little bit about what the situation and what your needs are. And once we've had a chance to meet with both of you, then at New Landscape Mediation, what we do is we devise a very specific and highly personalized plan to take forward for your family's needs. It's very important that each and every couple that we work with gets that bespoke service from us.
Okay. And when you talked about the confidentiality bit, that's very much the first meeting. You don't discuss what you've discussed with one partner with the other partner. It's just, it just remains as it is.
There are a couple of exceptions to that. So if I sat down with one party and they said to me, don't tell my husband that I have an account with £10,000 in it. Okay. That's something that I couldn't keep secret. But barring those kinds of extremes or child protection concerns or public safety concerns, what we would talk about in that individual meeting would be between myself and that individual. I would have an essentially identical meeting with the other party, and then I would sit down with my notes from both of those meetings and figure out what's right for you and for your needs.
Okay, and finally, because all these questions keep popping up in my head as you speak, but finally, working with a family mediator doesn't preclude working with a family lawyer, does it?
No. We very much go hand in hand. I mean, there are family mediators out there who get very possessive and say, no, you shouldn't speak to a lawyer. And there are lawyers out there who say, no, you shouldn't speak to a family mediator. But we're both part of the same team. There are things that I can do that a lawyer simply can't, and there are things that a lawyer can do that I can't. And we need each other, but it is important that the two are working together. And unfortunately, that's not always the case. But certainly, if you come to us and you don't have a lawyer, we will steer you in the direction of a lawyer who will accept and understand what we're doing here in mediation.
Okay. Thank you so much, Johnathan.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. And if you do want to get in touch with Johnathan, he's told us how you can go about it. If you're watching this on YouTube or even on the website, don't forget to click subscribe and to like and to make a comment if you want. Thank you so much, and we'll see you another time. Bye-bye.